And the Alzheimer's Association honoring News 12 Connecticut's Frank Recchia with the 2020 Extraordinary Caregivers Award for the care he gave his mother at the end of her life. Today would have been Patsy Recchia's 85th birthday. Here's Frank.
Oh, you look so beautiful getting your hair done, sweetheart.
Being recognized by the Alzheimer's Association as an extraordinary caregiver is a tremendous honor for me because it validates the life I chose to live for so many years, caring for my mother, Patsy Recchia, who was diagnosed with Alzheimer's in 2014.
You know what, Frankie?
What, sweetheart?
If I stick with you, I'm all right. I'll never be depressed.
It became very difficult at the end because as my mother's condition declined, she needed more and more care, and it was exhausting to provide it, but I did it because the whole thing was a labor of love. This past summer, my mother became very sick. She had a sudden and serious decline, and she had to go into the hospital. As she got sicker and sicker and more frail, I realized that there's no choice here. You're gonna have to let her go. After the hospital, she was at the Jewish home for a few weeks. As wonderful as the hospice care is at the Jewish home, I still wasn't comfortable with her not being at home with me.
My name is Susan Schultz with Agency on Aging of South Central Connecticut. I could hear from Frank that it was so important for him to bring her home and to try and see if that was a possibility, because that had always been important to Frank.
You're home, sweetheart.
As soon as we got my mother home, she immediately knew where she was. She immediately had all this energy and was filled with life suddenly again.
Here, one more bite, sweetheart.
He was very patient with her and calm. He seemed to have the ability to anticipate her needs before she even expressed them.
It made me feel so good knowing that I brought Mommy home, that she could be in the room where she has slept every night for 50 years, and she could quietly pass away, surrounded by me, my sister Alexandra, and Ven, who was this wonderful caregiver. My mother had been a very beautiful young woman, raised by her Aunt Lena in Cincinnati. She became a photographer. Her work was exhibited at the Capitol in Washington. A year ago, she was doing so well. And if you had told me it was all going to be over 1 year later, I would never have believed it. In the last moments of her life, she started to breathe in and out like she was gasping. And I could see that the end was coming.
He can feel good about being a devoted, loving son who gave his mother the best care that she could have had through her final days.
This prestigious award couldn't go to a more worthy recipient than Frank Recchia. I knew Patsy Recchia, talked to her on a frequent basis, and the bond between them was extraordinary.
I like to think of her as moving out of her body and moving into my heart. When things are funny, and she would have found them funny, I still laugh out loud.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
My mother is right here in my heart. By giving me their most prestigious Caregivers Award, the Alzheimer's Association has really made me feel that I was the best son to my mother that a man could possibly be.
And she's smiling. Let's go give her a kiss. She's smiling. I love you.
Beautiful, beautiful.
We love you.
And caregiving for a loved one, a labor of love that so many Connecticut families can relate to. Frank thanking Susan Schultz and the Agency on Aging of South Central Connecticut for all the help that they gave him during the final years of his mother's life.